Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here this week. We are super excited because this is like our Super Bowl week. This is the week of Spring Q. That's right. In just a few short days, we will be ascending upon Palm Springs that March 16th through 18th for 3 amazing days. 2 amazing keynotes, by the way. On March 16th, Dee Lanier is going to be here just bringing it to talk to us about his hip-hop heroes and how it involves education. Friday, we have the one and only Sanal Patel, a Q-grown, amazing educator. We are so excited that she is going to be here. And then, of course, on Saturday, our community celebration with games and fun. And hey, we are even going to be giving away swag. Yes, these t-shirts, right? Find Your Squadron Q t-shirts will be given away at that community celebration. So do not miss it. And if you still want to attend, there is still small amounts of space left for registrations. So just go on ahead and go over to springq.org and register today. Why not? It's going to be a party. We cannot wait to see you. Speaking of a party, we love to do SuperShares to bring about some of the biggest and best presentations and people and vendors that we're going to be seeing and meeting and conversing with at Spring Q. And I have such a special treat for you today. Okay, we are going to be talking about the Rosetta Stone of education, and that is differentiation. How can you differentiate based upon every single student that you have in your classroom? That's something that's very difficult to do, but not with 3P Learning. So I have Sheila here from 3P Learning. Sheila, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much, Joe. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, you can tell we're so excited here at Q because Spring Q is something that even before I was a staff member of Q, I looked forward to for spring break. Like all the teachers are like, oh, what are you going to be doing during your spring break? I'm going to Q. Like that's my Disneyland. And so to be a part of that, I'm so excited. And for you and 3P Learning to be a part of it, super exciting.
Yep, absolutely. Cannot wait.
So for our members watching right now, getting ready to attend Spring Q and kind of writing down the different booths and different people they want to talk to, tell them a little bit about yourself. Sheila, tell them who you are. Tell them how you got into education and how you got involved with 3P Learning.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Joe. My name is Sheila Robitaille. I am a professional learning specialist with the company of 3P Learning, and I'm also a veteran educator. So Joe, I was in the field probably longer than you've been around. I have about 30 years of experience in education, and I did everything from classroom teaching to middle management type roles to principal, part of the time in an elementary, part of the time in high school. And, throughout all of that, I really developed a passion for developing teachers and for providing tools for them that are going to make that very difficult task of teaching in general. But like you mentioned, differentiation easier because it's a tough ask. And in fact, today it's even tougher than ever, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we have students coming into our classroom from every different walk of life, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we know as educators, but it was so hard to figure out how to do, is that we can't just take a cookie cutter curriculum and put it into the classroom and assume it's going to work for everyone.
That's right.
We have to change. We have to figure out a way to be able to have, like we were talking about, differentiation for every student to ensure that learning is happening and growth is happening along the way. So when we were talking earlier about this one product of 3P Learning, I got super excited about it. So can you tell us what you're going to be talking about today?
Sure. Well, all of our products at 3P Learning do an amazing job of this. It's one of the things that gets me most excited. But one of the products, Mathletics, and it's a math program that's geared for kindergarten all the way up through high school. So it kind of covers all the gamut. It is a phenomenal program. And when I got to looking at it, I was saying, you know what? I wish I had this when I was in the classroom because it will take in just a few clicks of a button and take that really hard ask and make it so much easier for teachers. And so I love showing it to teachers, and I get the aha, whoa, whenever we do our presentations. So.
And I love the fact that it's about math, because when I was an instructional technology coach, one of the I'd be walking the halls and I'd take a peek into classrooms and just let people know I'm here to help. I'd be walking down my math wing and doors would close. Like, nope,
Yep.
we don't want any of that technology seeping into our math room. And I know that's slowly changing, right? There's a lot of amazing math teachers that are out there. But one of the things is, like, they feel like that the pencil and the paper and the drill and repeat, they can catch on to what their students are knowing at that point. And the technology wasn't quite there yet. But mathletics, you're saying, allows for differentiation within the math classroom, plus ways that teachers can actually see if the learning is taking hold. Can you explain that a little bit?
How does that happen? Well, first to piggyback off of what you were just saying, yeah, there has been some hesitation, especially in the math world, with regards to educational technology. But I think math teachers are starting to figure out that, it's super important in the learning process that kids get feedback that's immediate and specific, right? Especially if assessment, and there are so many different forms of assessment now, but I'm talking about the daily stuff, the formative stuff. If it's immediate and specific, then it can be part of the learning process. And that's where ed tech really comes in. You can't be one person with 25, 30 kids in any kind of situation, but certainly in a math classroom, and give immediate and specific feedback that is part of the learning process. But in terms of differentiation, again, this kind of blew me away whenever I was looking at all of the different ways that Mathletics helps. Now, one of the key ways, and I'm actually going to jump over and show you that, is that I'm in the teacher console of Mathletics right now, is that it enables teachers. So in here, I'm seeing all of my students' name and their information, but it enables teachers to put students in different learning groups. So right now, this is a grade 3 class. And, right now they're all set up nicely in their grade 3 class. But let's say that I have a couple of students, maybe Albert Einstein and Isaac Newton, maybe because of, COVID or for whatever reason, there are some learning gaps and maybe they're operating on a lower grade level. The teacher can simply come in and create an additional group. Let's say these kids are working on a grade 2 level. Come in and create a new group, call it grade 2. And you know what, Joe? It doesn't matter what they call it. The program is also so inclusive that kids never see these names and they never see this part of the differentiation. So it's very inclusive that way as well.
And Sheila, I want to stop you. I love that you mentioned that, right? Because we want to make sure that students don't feel like they're being put into groups, but we know that students need that extra scaffolded help to be able to lift them up, right? So to figure out a way to institute those kinds of learning groups, but the students to not feel like they are being put into these different groups is incredibly important. So I love the fact that you're showing that and that is accessible here in Mathletics.
That absolutely, it's so important. So I'm creating a grade 2 group, and then I tell the program, I'm in Ontario, so I'll just use my Ontario curriculum. Curriculum is already set in here. And hit save. And now take a look at this. Now I'm one person. I need to make sure that these 2 students are getting content at their level. Look at this. I just come over here, go from the default to grade 2, apply, do the same thing for Isaac. And now when they go into their consoles, they're going to be getting material and content that's in their zone of proximal development. And guess what, Joe? Teachers can set up to 12 different learning groups for every class. So they can differentiate in all sorts of ways, but just with a few clicks of a button, their kids are getting delivered what they need. And you know what? If Isaac and Albert come in and they make leaps and gains and they're ready to rejoin us with the grade 3, I come back in here and I pop them right back into, it's called default because that's the group that they were initially set up as, the default group, and they just continue on forward. Just that simple.
Now the students that are ahead of grade level, can a teacher then assign them to a group that's maybe the next grade level up so that they can kind of advance at that kind of pace?
Absolutely. They like I mentioned, they have 12 different learning groups that they can create. And everything in Mathletics, whether it's our printable materials or what have you, teachers have access to the materials for all of the grade levels, because we know, in a grade 3 class, you're going to have grade 1 learners, grade 2 learners, grade 4 learners, and grade 5 learners. And so a teacher can be somewhat of a magician with a tool like this.
I love that. But here's a question I have for you. So let's say that you do have those students, Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein. You had to put them in a lower group so that they can gain. How does the computer, how does the AI, how does it know that the gaining is happening? Does it bring in more advanced questions along the way to see if that learning is occurring, or does it keep things flat and the teacher is the one that has to add in new questions that make it a little bit more advanced?
That's an amazing question. Very insightful. The thing about Mathletics is the questions are adaptable. So if a student is getting question after question after question right, then the level of challenge goes up. So it's differentiating internally as well. And if the student is having difficulty, then the level of challenge comes down a bit until they're able to stabilize out. And you know what? Teachers can use data that comes from their kids working in the product to make decisions about what to do next within a class period, and make data-driven decisions on that. Let me show you what I'm talking about.
Oh, absolutely. I'm excited.
So we're going to come over here. We're going to our assign and review area, and bam, what I see here are all of these scores. These are scores on what kids are working on. So let's say, Joe, that all of my students are working in this activity. I've assigned it out to them and they're all working on this activity. And you know what? I can open this up and bam, I know that, this student and this student, they're having some difficulty because I see a red box. I know that immediately I'm going to want to pull them aside and I'm going to want to work with them on whatever it is, whatever difficulties they're having in this area. Likewise, at the same time, I see these kids with these blue boxes. That means they're developing their understandings, and I'm going to challenge them to go back and redo that activity and see if they can improve their scores. And then these kids with the green box, I can call over Albert and Isaac and Bill and Lulu and Noah, and I have a separate an enrichment activity for them because they've already demonstrated mastery, or I can assign them a second activity to work on within the program as well. So bam, 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 like that. Again, I'm a magician and I have everybody going. I have all these moving parts going, and it's all based on the data that comes from what I've learned about what they're doing in their activities.
Well, Sheila, I'll tell you right now, you can't do this with worksheets, right? You just can't. I mean, you cannot differentiate and get this information instantly in worksheets. But I do want to say that, social emotional learning is a big thing right now, right? Yeah. And to be able to have questions that are adaptable are incredibly important, because there's nothing more frustrating to a student than going through question after question after question, getting it wrong, and it not helping you out in any way. Okay. And what this program does, based on what you told me, is if students are getting some questions incorrect in a row, it starts to adapt the questions to get them back to their level, to give them more confidence, give it to them in a different way so that they can grow and eventually get back to those questions that they missed and get them right. That there's something to say about that emotional gain, to be able to see growth, the student internally, visually seeing that growth in themselves during the class period, then leaving feeling like they are failing. There's something to say about that. And so I love the fact that the adaptability, the differentiation of Mathletics allows students to feel like they are accomplishing something during the class, not to feel like they're falling behind. And I think that's something incredibly important that teachers know, because that creates a sense of community in the classroom.
That's exactly right.
Everybody's learning, right? I mean, it's very touching when you think about it, of what Mathletics does. It creates that community of learning instead of this sense of failure.
That's right. That inclusivity is what you're talking about.
Yes.
And I like to, when I talk to teachers about it, I like to talk about the fact that programs like this are a way to start building in and start to nurture that growth mindset in students. they feel comfortable that they can take risks because there's some scaffolding that's there for them. And it's all about helping them feel accomplished. And there are opportunities to go back, and there are also within the student console, there are ways for them to kind of watch their own progress. And if they go in and they say, I'm going to try this again, see if I can improve my score, they're going to be delivered they're the same types of questions, but a different set of questions. So they're not just memorizing, the questions and the answers, but they're actually demonstrating additional mastery. So,
I love that. I love that the way they can go back in, because when I was a science teacher, I had a strategy called the second look, right? And so basically I would give them an assessment of just a quick formative assessment at the beginning of class. It would help me determine where I needed to add more information for a particular topic. Maybe I don't have to go over so much for this one because everybody got that question. But I was always, instead I was like, I can't just give them the same exact test at the end, because what if they just memorized it?
That's right.
But I did, because I didn't have a platform that would be able to change it up. But you're saying that this will allow that so-called second look, to where the teacher can see where the students are at the beginning, use that to direct how they're going to teach that day, and then give them the same types of questions, but be rest assured it's not a memorization, it's actually learning that's occurring.
That's exactly right. Super important. Important. Another piece, though, that, as a principal, I used to work with my teachers a lot about, okay, so you've given an assessment. It's either a formative assessment, or in some cases it's a snapshot check, or it's even a comprehensive assessment. But what are you going to do with it? If you've got students who are struggling, what are you going to do? Are you just going to move on? Is the student just going to move on? What are you going to do? And Mathletics has thought about that as well, in the form of our digital assessments. Now I'm going to go back to what you said before. Sometimes that's a hard sell for math teachers, to give an assessment that is digitized. Now, come on. And I usually start off and acknowledge that, that could be a little daunting. But I remind them that, again, we're looking for results that are immediate and specific. And this enables the teacher. I'm going to show you this. I can't wait. This is one of my favorite parts. The program prescribes questions in the form of quests that a teacher should assign to each individual student based on each individual student's performance on that assessment. Talk about differentiation. So it's not even differentiation going in, but it's even differentiation in terms of intervention. Let me show you what I'm talking about.
Yes, I'm excited. To me, it sounds like hyper differentiation.
AI, right? All over again. So over here in the assessment area. So a teacher can go in and, they can select the curriculum, the state or the provincial curriculum that they're working with. It will already build in questions that are pulled from that specific curriculum. And then they can assign out the assessment to the students, and then immediately they see this kind of data. This is kind of what I was showing you a minute ago with, what it looks like as soon as you open up Assign and Review. But this is my favorite part. I can come in and I can see all of these students, and I can even see their overall marks. But what's really important to me is this fill learning gaps part. So they've taken an assessment. Now, what am I going to do with it? So if I click on fill learning gaps, now think about it. I am one teacher, and I have to imagine the time that it would take for me to sit down with each student's assessment and decide what I need to give them in terms of intervention. Well, here we go. I can come over here to students, and for each and every student. So here's my first student, Catherine. She got 76% on the assessment. And these are the 5 quests that are found in Mathletics that it is prescribing because of how she performed on her assessment. And I can come over here, and it even hovers, and it tells me this is the one because of her incorrect response to this particular question. And this is the one because of her incorrect response to this question. And so I can assign them out to the student right there, and then I can go to the next student. And these are different quests that this student needs to work on because of her performance on the assessment, and so on and so forth. So just like that, with a click of a button, again, the teacher is a magician and is already set with the interventions after an assessment.
No, I like that, because my instinct as a teacher, when I was seeing that screen that you had, was I'm like, okay, I see what this color combo is doing. I can see the questions that everybody's getting right, the questions that need a little bit more help. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm planning a reteach in my head where I'm going to go. But that's not differentiation. That's just going back over to solidify information for the entirety of the class. This is differentiation for each individual student based upon their strengths and their weaknesses to get everybody up to level.
So Joe, how long would it have taken you to do that for every one of the students in your class?
Forever.
Exactly.
This would have been something I would have given on a Friday, taken all this information home on the weekend, try to figure out a way to create individualized learning plans for my students, and then try to implement that next week. That's forever.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And this is amazing because I always tell teachers, I go, there's one thing in this world that all teachers want more of, don't have enough of, and we always end up not having any of, and that's time.
Absolutely.
Time is always of the essence, and this is giving you the gift of time back.
Right.
And it's giving the students
immediate and specific feedback to students.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And so Sheila, I mean, I'm excited about that. I mean, I wasn't a math teacher, right? But I'm excited about this because of how much that this tool, Mathletics, is a collaborator with the educator.
That's a great way to put that.
And what this does is it allows the teacher to focus on what teachers do best, and that's making the connections with their students and to ensure that they know that they are powerful in their learning journey. And this helps along the way.
Better.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. So for the teachers and educators who are going to be at Spring Q, can you tell us a little bit about where they can connect with 3P Learning?
Absolutely. We're going to have a booth, and you're going to meet a number of our staff members there, booth 321. Please don't miss the opportunity to come and say hello and take a look at Mathletics and our other products as well. We have another math product called Math Seeds, which is geared for younger students. And we also have a literacy product called Reading Eggs. So come out and take a look. All three of the products will provide some of those amazing tools for differentiation for sure, as well as many other great assets for the classroom.
And if you are watching this, everyone, and you're not going to be at Spring Q, number one, I'm sorry, but number two, look at the website down below, mathletics.com. Go ahead and check it out. You can sign up for a free trial right down there. Definitely take a look at it. I mean, I don't know about you, but the hairs on my arm are standing up because I'm a data nerd, and this is like amazing. Yes. And I'm also in the class of work smarter, not harder. And this definitely brings that to the forefront. So Sheila, thank you so much for being here for this episode. I appreciate everything that you've done in your educational career and what you continue to do to make the lives of students and educators that much better. So thank you so much for being here, my friend.
Right back at you, Joe. Thanks.
All righty. Thank you so much. We'll see you in Palm Springs.
All right. Bye.
I absolutely love bringing tools like this to your attention. If you've never heard of Mathletics before, or if you've never been to that website and you started going, oh, wait a minute, I didn't know this even existed. That's what Q is here for. That's what Spring Q is here for. That's what our educational technology, our EdTech community is here for. So, we are super excited to be able to bring the best educators and products to you, whether you're going to be at Palm Springs or not. And so thank you so much for joining us on another episode of SuperShares. If you are going to be with us this week in Palm Springs, stop by the Q booth, say hello, stop by the 3P Learning booth right there at number 321 and say hello to them as well. But until then, until we see each other in person, I hope you have yourselves a very, very great day. Hopefully, we'll see you soon.